Hey there Star Wars fans, welcome to another Bossk Bounty video. Now obviously we've got lots and lots to go through in this video because it was New York Toy Fair at the weekend, and I'm sure you're aware by now that Hasbro revealed loads and loads of goodies for us to see. We've got the vintage collection, we've got a new retro line, and we've got a bit of Black Series, so stay tuned. Okay, so before I get into the mammoth amount of stuff that we've got to go through right now, if you like this video, hit that like button and please subscribe to the channel if you're new. Now, before we get into the nice vintage collection stuff that's been revealed, I do want to say that I'm going to be leaving the new retro line till last. I've got a few opinions about it. I may be a little bit critical about it, and at the end of the day, I didn't want this video to be too negative, so I'm starting off with the good stuff. So wait till later to hear what I have to say about that retro line. But first, let's get into the vintage collection. And the first thing that we have that was shown was the Jabba's Palace playset. Now, this is right up my street. I cannot wait for this. The box art looks incredible there. And I think you get two exclusive figures in Han Solo in Carbonite and Reese. Now, what I'm also wondering is that if you can get these figures, by themselves, and also what the numberings are for those figures, whether they're going to be not in the main line of numbers or if they're going to have their own exclusive numbers. We'll have to wait and see. Now, as you can see by the box art, which looks lovely in that vintage style, you can see that we do have two Jawas on the front cover as well. So they are a repack of the 3.75, so hopefully they'll have their own vintage card. It's about time. And also what I noticed, and I'm sure you did too, was a certain Bib Fortuna sitting there proudly behind Jabba the Hutt. Now obviously we are still waiting for this character on a vintage style card. No idea why he hadn't been released sooner. But obviously with the barge coming and the playset that we have here and all the other Return of the Jedi characters, Hasbro are going all out to make sure that we've got all of the characters that are going to be in those scenes. So Bib Fortuna obviously being Jabba the Hutt's like butler type guy. He is really, really important for us to have. And I'm really hoping that he'll be revealed at one of the next conventions, maybe the Comic-Con or something like that. Which brings me nicely onto another vehicle that has been announced, which is the skiff itself. Now obviously we all knew this was coming. As soon as that barge was announced, we all kind of figured that we'd be getting the skiff to go with it. Now this toy looks absolutely amazing, really highly detailed. It's the retractable plank that Luke stands on when he's about to be pushed into the Sarlacc pit. And I think together with the barge, it's just going to be an awesome looking diorama. We're also treated to a nice picture of the Lando Calrissian Skiffguard disguise action figure. You can see him there nicely out of his package. And then shortly after, we were treated to the actual package itself, the glam shots here, as you can see. Now this, for me, this is what the vintage collection is all about. This figure here takes me right back to when I was a kid. The packaging, it just looks amazing. The figure itself is just a massive improvement on the original figure from back in the day. Of course, the vintage figures from back in the day were great and we love them and we collect them. But, you know, we're trying to get new, we're trying to move the toy on. We're trying to get better figures. We're trying to improve articulation, improve face sculpts, face paint technology, that kind of thing. And that's what they're doing with these figures. And you've got to admit, this figure looks absolutely fantastic in its package. And I can't wait to get hold of him. And continuing on with the Jabba's Goons, we do have a 3-pack that's being released. So this vintage collection 3-pack will contain Vizam, Vidane and Brock Starsha, if I'm saying that correctly. 2 of them are repacks from the Black Series, which I'll just show you an image of now. The other one is a brand new figure, I believe. So that'll be a great 3-pack to have. Carrying on with the vintage collection, we do have some packaging images for some of the upcoming vintage collection figures. So first off, we have Han Solo in Stormtrooper disguise. So there we go. You can see the image there. Nice card back. I think they could have used a better image of him personally, and I can't really see. It looks a bit drawn, but who knows? It might look better when we get it in the flesh. So that's Han Solo in the Stormtrooper outfit. We also got some images of the next wave of figures, of what the packages are going to look like. And for me, the best one, hands down, is the Stormtrooper. So basically, you can see the Stormtrooper here on the Rogue One card. Now, they've said that they're basically going to make this Stormtrooper the definitive Stormtrooper. You know, lots of different body parts, but the helmet from, I believe, the Rogue One Stormtrooper that we got a few years ago. But as you can see on that card, he just looks amazing. You just know you're going to have loads and loads of these. Great army building. And if you're a carded collector, from my point of view, that Stormtrooper just looks absolutely incredible. We also have a picture of the Lando Calrissian card, so there's a nice picture of him there. It's a little bit dark, but obviously he's in that room playing the Sabatch game, and that is taken straight from the movie, so I'm all for it when they take shots straight from the movie. And we're yet to see the figure in the flesh, but if he's anything like the Black Series version with the super articulation, then we're in for a nice figure. We also have the glam shot of the packaging for the Praetorian Guard. So again, nice image of the Praetorian Guard. You know, these new figures from the new films, I'm an OT fan mainly, so I do prefer those. But of course, I'm all for getting new figures on new cards, and this one's no exception, so he'll look pretty good. Again, if you're a loose collector, you might want to get a couple of these. Sit them beside Snoke in his throne room. The last one that we have is an image that I revealed the other day in a video, which is the 41st Corps Elite Corps Trooper. And again, you can see that the card art for this looks incredible, and I can't wait to get a few of these too. Moving on to the Black Series, and they revealed that we are having 2 new exclusives which are going to be available at Star Wars Celebration. Now these are going to be 20th anniversary of Episode 1 figures. You've got Darth Maul here, as you can see, on I want to say vintage style card, but it's not vintage. It's a throwback to the Episode 1 cards that we had back in the day, 20 years ago. Obviously made a little bit bigger to accommodate the 6-inch Black Series figure. So there you go, you have Darth Maul there, and then the other figure that they are releasing is the young Obi-Wan Kenobi, the Padawan. And as you can see, they both look great. They're foil cards, I believe. So I would imagine that these might become as rare as the 40th anniversary Luke in his X-Wing fighter outfit, which now goes for £300 now or something like that on eBay. So if you can get hold of these, I strongly advise you do, because they'll probably be in short supply. And if you're not lucky enough to get hold of the Obi-Wan Kenobi, then no sweat, because he will be being released in the standard red and black box as well. So obviously Darth Maul is a previous figure, so if you can get hold of him on the secondary market, and then obviously get yourself a Obi-Wan Kenobi from the new line. So not much else from the Black Series that we haven't already seen, so moving swiftly on to the new concept that they're coming out with called Hyperreal. And we've got an image here of Darth Vader. Now this is basically an 8-inch figure. It's a new thing that they're trying, and I think they're trying to compete with maybe Hot Toys, perhaps, probably not as good as that. But still, I think this is going to be $80 in America. And as you can see, it comes with loads of different hands and things like that. This isn't something that I'm probably going to get into. They're a bit too expensive for me. And to be honest, I prefer the 3.75-inch figures anyway. I do get Black Series 6-inch as well, but my main focus is the 3.75. So when they start to get even bigger and bigger and bigger, it doesn't really hold my interest. And to be honest, the Darth Vader, the sculpting, there's something wrong with the sculpting. The helmet isn't right. I'm not too sure about it. Okay, so now we come on to the retro collection that was announced. Now, I could potentially make a whole video about this, but I'm going to try and fit in what I've got to say at the end of this video. We can see that they've released these original molded figures on vintage style cards, and the thing that I'm struggling to sort of get hold of here is what are they trying to accomplish with this? Because you've got 2 types of collectors in my mind. You've got the vintage collectors and the modern collectors. Now, I do a bit of both. Now, if I want a modern figure, as in like a loose modern figure, then I want him to be super articulated. I want him to have the photoreal face technology. I want him looking as good as he can be. I don't want to go back to the figures that I had as a kid. And my son probably won't want to play with those either. He wants the new modern figures with the bendy arms and the bendy wrists and all that kind of thing. So for me, that's the vintage collection. We've got that. You've got vintage style cards with modern figures. Perfect. So you can release ones that were never released back in the day, and you can release ones on cards that were released back in the day. So to me, that's the perfect marriage. You've got the modern figure in the vintage card. So I don't really know what they're trying to accomplish with this, because of course you do have the vintage, proper vintage collectors that are spending thousands and thousands of pounds on buying these original figures on their cards. And they're even spending hundreds of pounds on them loose. And many of the time, the reason they're expensive is because of the accessory that comes with that figure. Now, I think you're going to be able to tell the difference between one of these new figures compared to one of the old ones. But I think the weapons, you know, collectors are already worried about repro weapons as it is. So if I wanted to find a vintage Luke Skywalker yellow lightsaber, but I want that to be an original from back in the day, how am I going to be able to tell when this one comes out? It's difficult as enough as it is.
Hiya. Yeah, nice jacket. Whatever, it's a bit like mine. What makes yours? Armani. Expensive. And yours? Sergio Giorgini.
So, I don't know. We'll have to see how this goes. Obviously, they've announced the 6 figures, but they've also announced that they've done a mould for Tarkin and will be released in this special board game. So you need to get the board game to get this particular figure. Now, this one I can understand. This is kind of what the collectors of the vintage era collectors, this is what they wanted back in the day. You know, why was Tarkin never released? Why was a Rebel Fleet Trooper never released? But we've got the vintage collection for that. You can just get a new modern figure and stick them on a vintage style card. And Bob's your uncle, there's your figure. I don't really understand why they're going back to creating 5 POA figures on these vintage cards, which in my opinion don't look great. I think the edge wear that they're trying to get there, making them look all old, and you know, and the big red sticker, which isn't a sticker because it's actually printed on, you know, it covers half the card art for a start. I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to get that vintage feel because obviously the cards back in the day had those offer stickers and everything. But this is just too big. It looks stupid in my opinion. Anyway, I could go on a mini rant about these. I probably will still pick them up just because from a collector's point of view, I kind of, you know, they're making me want them, but I don't know why I would want them, if you know what I mean. It's a bit of a strange one, really. Anyway, I'm going to leave you with that. Let me know what you think about these in the comments below. I'm really, really interested. It's a massive hot topic at the moment. You've got some vintage collectors that are going absolutely nuts about it, and you've got some modern collectors that are going, oh well, I can't really afford to get the whole run of the vintage figures, you know. But are they vintage? That's the thing. They're not. They're newly produced. Anyway then guys, that is enough for this video. That's all the reveals that we had from the Toy Fair in New York. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think about it in the comments, and we'll see you on the next one.